But get that out of the way.
Okay, is this any better, Mr. Laxton?
Better than you were.
Okay. Tonight, when you testified in court, were you telling the truth?
Yes, sir.
And you spoke the whole truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You stated you were mowing the grass on the September 24th, 2007,
Right.
in the late afternoon. You said that you stopped mowing the grass when you saw 4 dogs.
No, I stopped when I got through.
You didn't testify that you stopped when you saw the 4 dogs.
I did after I got through mowing. I stopped. And I said, I seen the dog, and then I got through mowing, and then I stopped mowing.
Okay. When you saw the dogs, you kept mowing. How much more time was it before you finished mowing?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Did you put the mower up?
Yes.
Okay. So you weren't afraid of the dogs at that time?
And what?
You were not afraid of the dogs at that time, were you?
They wasn't approaching me, no.
They were across the street, right?
Right.
Okay. Were some of these dogs German Shepherds?
They all look like wolf hybrids to me.
Are you familiar with wolf hybrids?
I've seen yours around, yes, sir.
Okay, you've seen mine. How would you know that if they're mine?
You know the one got him in that neighborhood.
Actually, that's not true, and I would move to strike that because this man can't testify to what's in the neighborhood. I don't think he knows everybody's pets.
The jury makes a determination with regard to the testimony.
Do you know the difference between a German Shepherd and a wolf hybrid?
I do.
If you drive just south from where you live, past Macedonia Road, actually not even past Macedonia Road from where you live is about a half mile. Let's get closer to where you live. Let's go. You remember the house that was hit by the tornado?
There was 4 of those.
Right down the street from you, the house had the whole garage stripped away.
I don't know which one you're talking about. I'm familiar with those houses.
There's 4 brand new houses that were built, and one of them had the garage stripped away, less than a quarter of a mile from your house. You know where that was?
I still don't follow you.
Okay, you know where you live.
I know where I live.
Just to the south of you, there's an old house, and then there's a brand new house.
I know where all them houses are, but I don't know which one you're talking about.
The 4 brand new houses on the east side of the road, the tornado damaged all of them.
Right.
Okay. Directly across the street, there's a lady that lives there, related to Bubba Kirk. Do you know her?
Oh, you didn't tell me about Doug Gotch's place.
The lady that lives across from there is related to Bubba Kirk. She has a wolf hybrid. Have you ever seen her wolf hybrid?
Not that I know of.
All right. From your property, go 300 yards. There's a gravel road on the county line called Don's Way. There's a gravel road on the county line called Don's Way. Are you familiar with Don's Way?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the people that live back there?
Yes.
What type of dogs do they have?
German Shepherds.
Okay. Do they have masking? They're gray dogs, big gray dogs, right?
And they're black and tan.
Black and tan, okay. And they have masks on them. Big dogs. Would you say the dogs you saw that day looked like those size dogs,
No.
that size? No? Not that big?
No, sir, not that car.
Were they that size?
One of them was real big.
Okay. About the size of those German Shepherds?
Bigger than anything that they got.
Really? Okay. But you don't know for a fact, to tell the truth, that those were my dogs.
Well, you were following them. And I assumed it was yours.
Okay, you just testified you saw me follow him.
You came over that direction.
And did you see my wife following them?
I didn't see your wife at all.
So you didn't realize she was over there and...
I didn't know where she was.
Okay. I believe you on that. I believe you on that. I don't think you did know she was there. You crossed the street. You went, well, when you finished cutting grass, you went in the house and got your gun. Is that right?
Right.
And is anybody else at your house at that time?
My wife.
Okay. And did you take your granddaughter in? Or was she still outside?
My granddaughter went in. I told her to keep her in.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of dogs that run around in this neighborhood, is there not? A lot of people let their dogs just run loose. Is that right?
There's a few.
A few. Well, the night of this event, weren't there a lot of small dogs running around?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Doesn't the man that owns the property there, Mr. Burnett, doesn't he allow his dog to run loose?
The what now?
Does not Mr. Burnett allow his dog to run loose? The yellow lab.
Oh, I don't know. I'm over the hill.
Behind Mr. Burnett's house, he has a yellow lab he keeps on a chain outside. And occasionally...
Mr. Burnett?
Yes, sir.
Not anymore. He's taken up with somebody else.
Oh, the dog's taken up with somebody else. Okay, I didn't know that. But 2 years ago, he was at Mr. Burnett's, right?
Yep.
Okay, and Mr. Burnett would let him out run loose from time to time where he'd be able to get out and freely play and
Let
stuff.
him run, yeah.
Right. So he allowed his dog to run loose on his property. It's common that a lot of people in the area will let their dogs run loose.
I guess so. I don't know a dog.
Okay. Do you hate dogs?
No, sir.
Are you afraid of dogs?
Not tame dogs.
What's the
When my
difference?
charges me, I'm afraid of it.
Okay, if a dog's wagging its tail, does that mean it's friendly or aggressive?
And one wagging his tail.
Okay. This dog you claim that charged you, was his ears pointed up, pointed forward, or pointed back? Do you
I
remember?
didn't pay that much attention.
Okay. All right. How do you know a dog wasn't just coming to you, maybe to get pet? How do you know it wasn't a friendly dog?
With his teeth showing.
With his teeth showing. Was the dog's mouth open?
Growling like.
Really? Wow. That must have been terrifying for you.
Do what?
Was that terrifying?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now let me ask you. You were afraid of these dogs from the first point you saw them, were you not?
No, sir.
Why not?
Do what?
Why were you not afraid of them when you first saw them?
I never had one get that close to me before.
I think you testified that you were cutting your daughter's property, correct?
I walked about 15 feet down the road and across the road.
While you were cutting the grass, they were 15 feet across the road.
No. They were over there in the pond.
Okay, they were over next to the pond.
Yeah.
Okay. So did they never crossed, went over to your side of the street. They was basically by the
I
pond.
wasn't intending on letting them either.
Oh, you weren't going to let them.
No, I tried to run them off, and I did run them off.
And you killed one, didn't you?
After he charged me.
After she charged you.
Well, he, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Did you know that dog had a name? So your daughter's in the house and you've got your gun, right?
Right.
And you go hunting dogs, right?
No, sir.
Well, what gives you the authority to cross the street on another man's property and shoot at another man's dogs?
I was on my property when I killed that wolf.
Sir?
I was on my property.
Your property's across the street.
I had an acre lot over there.
According to the Register of Deeds, that property belongs to Mr. Burnett. Didn't you sell that property to Mr. Burnett?
At a later date.
Really?
Right.
So we can go down to the registrar's office and we can pull up the record and see exactly when it was purchased and know exactly who owned that property at that time. Okay. But these dogs never got on your property. They were always on Mr. Burnett's property by the pond, right?
The former was.
Okay. They always were on Mr. Burnett's property. So your intention was to go and shoot and kill these dogs, was it not?
Sir?
Your intention was to cross the street and shoot and kill these dogs, was it not?
No, sir.
Then why did you cross the street with your gun if you were safe in your home? Why didn't you just stay at home?
I was headed over to the hangar anyway.
With a .22 rifle? Why?
After I got that far, it was.
Oh, after you got that far, you proceeded on to the hangar. But when you first saw the dogs, you immediately finished cutting the grass. You didn't immediately run to the house. You didn't immediately call the police. You didn't immediately call animal control. You immediately cut the grass. When you saw the dogs, you testified you immediately cut the grass. When you saw the dogs across the street, your first response is not to run, not to go in, not to get the gun at that point. It's to finish cutting the grass.
Yeah, about 10 by 10 square.
And then you went in and got your gun. When you first started shooting, you testified you were on your property across the street shooting back towards the dogs in the air, correct? They were still across the street. And you said they ran up into the woods? Did you shoot in the direction of the woods?
No, sir.
Which direction did you shoot?
Straight up in the air.
Straight up. Isn't that dangerous? Can't the bullet come down and hit you in the
I have
head?
no idea where they come down.
Where do you think it goes if you point straight up? Don't you think it comes straight down?
I have no idea.
Wouldn't you think it's not very wise to shoot straight up in the air when you got car windows around that can be broken and your granddaughter? Who else was outside at this time? Was anybody else outside at this time?
None that I know of.
You're friends with Nick King, is that correct? You're friends with Nick King, is that correct?
Nick King?
Yes, sir, you're friends with his?
We know each other.
Okay. And you know people in the sheriff's department around here, don't you?
I know a lot of people.
Okay, do you know a lot of sheriff's deputies in Tipton
I know a
County?
few sheriff's deputies.
You know the county executive too, don't you?
Do I?
You know the county executive in Tipton County too, do you not?
Everybody knows him.
Do they? Okay. He's a good friend of yours, isn't he?
I don't know. Whether you consider him a good friend or not.
To the point that you were willing to put a 4 by 8 foot billboard for his campaign in your front yard in 06, is that not correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that means that you like the guy for quite a bit, know him quite well.
Your Honor, all that reflects is that he knows the opponent of the county executive and desires a better opponent.
I'm developing the state of mind of this man and what his motivation was to come attack me and my family. I think I'll prove it real quick if the court will allow me.
Statements by the defendant are not evidence. Questions are not evidence. You consider a statement on the question only supplies meaning to the answer given by the witness. The court will allow the question that was asked and the response already made by the witness. Basically, that's what it was.
What authority by law do you have to shoot straight up in the air?
I don't have any authority to shoot straight up there.
That's true.
Do you?
No, I don't.
Well,
That's why I shot at the ground. It's reckless endangerment to shoot straight up because it can fall and hit somebody, but if you shoot straight at the ground, there's no way you're going to hurt anybody.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, statements by counsel while asking questions or statements by the defendant acting as his own counsel such as that are not to be considered as evidence.
And then you cross the street. Then you cross the street. I'm speaking much louder than the DA did. I know you can hear me, sir. Then you cross the street.
It's not a question, Your Honor. I don't know what response Mr. Laxton is expected to make when a question is not even asked.
You have to ask questions to the witness.
And then you cross the street, question mark. You cross the street pursuing the dogs, is that correct? You cross the street pursuing the dogs, is that correct?
I still can't understand you.
You cross the street pursuing the dogs, is that not correct?
I crossed the street to scare them off.
To scare them away
Right.
from your neighbor's property. Because they were not on your property, correct? They were on your neighbor's, Mr. Burnett's property by the pond. Were they in the pond?
They were playing on the edge of it.
They were in the pond?
They were playing on the edge of it.
On the edge of it. They were playing. Did you ever shoot in the direction of the wooded area?
No, sir.
Did you tell the Covington Leader newspaper, published 4 days later, that you shot into the uninhabited wooded area?
I never had an interview with the Covington Leader, period.
Did you ever tell anybody that you shot into the uninhabited wooded area across the street?
No, sir, not that I recollect.
So if they printed that in the newspaper and put quote marks as a quote from you, they would have been lying.
It wasn't my quote.
Do you read the Covington Leader, sir?
Yes.
I have an original, September 28, 2007.
Your Honor, I'm going to have to object if the leader is being offered as evidence, and a quote in the leader is being offered as evidence. I'm going to have to object.
He's going to ask about it, it's fine.
I'm sorry, sir.
I think the state's objected if you're trying to introduce the article. I sustained objection.
I'm just trying to verify the quote. That's my intention, Your Honor. Trying to verify the quote as an accurate quote from this witness. We've already...
You've asked that and he's responded to it.
I was going to provide it for him to read and see if that is something he recollects. Maybe it would jog his memory if he actually saw the quote. I'll move along. You've never met me before, have you?
I met you one time.
Really?
Really.
Where was that?
In my front yard. When you came up in my yard with your son and started bad-mouthing my neighbors and using foul language to do it. Yeah, I met you.
Move to strike, Your Honor. Sir, we've never met. My son has never been anywhere near you. My son is an adult. I've never spoken to you about any neighbors because we've never met. Isn't that the truth?
Sir?
We've never met. We've never spoken. Prior to this day, you and I had never communicated.
You never rode up in my driveway on a four-wheeler and your son on a motorbike?
I don't own a four-wheeler. He doesn't
You
own a
used to.
motorbike. I think you have me confused with someone else.
No, I don't have you confused with someone else. Anybody pull up in my yard and use the language you did describing some fine people, I don't forget them.
What about the language you used the night of the shooting? Didn't you use some foul language the night of the shooting when you shot and killed Brandy?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of. You don't remember that. Well, that's convenient. You
I
remember
said one or two curse words.
one or two. Okay. So now you do remember. Do you remember the words that you used?
No, sir.
You don't remember saying you should have kept those SOBs up?
I may have said that.
You did. That was your rationale for shooting my dogs, is because they were out. That's your justification, is it not, that they were out?
No.
You said that the dogs never got within 100 yards of you. Is that correct?
What?
Earlier you testified that the dogs never got within 100 yards of you.
The floor did. Because I ran them off.
Isn't it a fact that none of the dogs ever got within 250 feet of you because they stayed near the pond and you were actually closer to the hangar?
No, sir.
How many shots did you fire at the dogs?
In all,
How many shots did you shoot the whole day with that
the
rifle?
whole day,
The whole day.
not over 27, 28, or 29.
Okay.
Clip doesn't hold anymore than that.
Okay. And you said that you're a hunter. Are you a licensed hunter? Do you have a hunting license?
Not in September I didn't.
Okay.
Not
And,
that year I didn't.
okay. And you've been a hunter for a long time?
I've hunted all my life.
So do you hunt for food or do you hunt for trophy? Some people hunt deer for trophy and some people hunt different things and they mount them, and other people hunt and they eat the food.
I hunt for food.
Okay. Never for trophy? Do you have any trophy in your house?
Any what?
Do you have any trophies that you've hunted?
No, sir.
Deer or a bass or a dog?
No, sir.
Okay. Is it not a fact that you told Nick King that you could clap your hands and the dogs would run away?
Then what?
Is it a fact that you told Nick King that you could simply clap your hands and the dogs would run away?
No, sir.
You've never told Nick King that. And if Nick King told someone that, he was lying.
Well, I didn't say it.
Okay. When you testified, you said that Nick King, from where he was standing, should have been able to see you, but you weren't certain that he saw you. You just think he saw you while you were doing the shooting. Is that correct? Because he was working in the hangar.
Now, he was standing out at the end of the hangar.
Was he looking at you?
He come out to see what I was shooting.
Okay, because earlier it sounded as though you were unsure whether he could see you at all.
Do what now?
Earlier when you testified, it sounded as though you were unsure as to whether he could actually see you. You said you thought he could. There wasn't certainty to it. There was an assumption that he saw you, but no certainty.
He should have been able to, so that's all I'm saying.
Now, when you shot and killed Brandy, you said Brandy was 50 yards away from you, correct?
45 or 50.
45 or 50. Roughly 150 feet if it's 50 yards. Is that correct? 3 feet in a yard, 50 yards is 150 feet.
About 40 yards, 45 yards.
And if that rail is 25 feet long, it would be 7 times that distance away from
I
you.
don't know if that rail that long.
Your Honor, if I may approach, I would like to take the easel if I can. I have my own map that I would like to present. It's identical to this one that the state's providing. It's just a little bigger, a little easier for the jury to see. May I approach?
I'm going to object to that map unless I have a chance to look at it. I think it's got all sorts of objectionable hearsay on it.
This is the same map that was used in the probable cause hearing. It's on the record already in the probable cause hearing, Your Honor. It's already been entered as evidence. But you're welcome to look at it. This is where Neil Odom had the witnesses circle the houses.
Is this any different from the other one?
It's just larger. It actually might be the exact same size. I can check it out and see.
Appear to be cumulative. I got no particular objection to it. It looks like the same exhibit.
The purposes,
circles on it.
the purposes, I would like to have this witness identify where he stood, where the dogs were, and then when the next state's witness come in with a different one that is identical, have him identify where Mr. Laxton was, where he was, where the dogs were, so that the jury can see the inconsistencies and the differences. Because as in the probable cause hearing,
I welcome the opportunity, Your Honor.
thank you. Just for the benefit of the jury, from a visual standpoint, this would be my house up here.
Hey, you have to ask questions to the witness, please.
Can you see this okay? I'd like to present some stick pins so that the witness can identify the locations at this point? If you would take the pink colored pins, easier to see. If you take 4 of them, please. If you gather 4
I can't
pins.
tell them heads or tails about that, man.
Well, come a little closer. It's just like that one. I think you'll see it when you get close.
I mean, what do you want me to do?
I would like you to take the pink pins, and I would like for you to place one where you were standing when you were shooting at the dogs, one where the dog that you shot and killed was, one where Nick King was, and one where... 4, just 4.
And what you want?
Where you were standing when you were shooting at the dogs, where you were standing when you shot Brandy. Now one where Brandy was.
I don't know that there's been even any actual evidence that there's a creature named Brandy, Your Honor. I know there's been questions about it.
Where I shot it?
Where you just put where you shot the wolf. I don't know if you know its name.
I think we've been using
Where I
Brandy all
shot
day
the
long.
wolf.
Yes, and where you saw Nick King.
It was about here.
And where you saw me.
I didn't see you.
You said earlier you
Not
saw
till you came down the hill. I didn't see you when you was up here when you fired your gun. You said you fired it. I never heard it. I seen you. The first time I saw you was about along right there.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Very important. He places Nick King right at the corner of the hangar. He places himself right at this point. He places the dog this side of the creek.
I'm going to have to object to the testimony or whatever this is. It's not a question.
Objection to be sustained. Ask a question, witness, please.
And you're certain these are the locations where you observed everybody?
I've already pointed it out on some map.
We're going to take this one down at this time, and we'll keep it, and we'd like to enter it as an exhibit and have it placed so that it'll be out of the visual range of the rest of the witnesses at this time.
Now, there is a pen holding it on the poster board, which may confuse things. It's the same color.
At this point, I'd like to have the witness's rifle brought back into the courtroom for identification. While we're waiting, Mr. Laxton, did you ever shoot at the dogs while they were over at the pond? Did you ever?
That's been asked and answered, I know.
I've never asked that. While he's now across the street, I would like to determine if he shot at the dogs at the pond at that time.
I know what?
While you were across the street on Mr. Burnett's property, did you ever shoot at the dogs where they were in the pond?
No.
Please offer the rifle and the magazine to the witness, please. The magazine is on the front table. Mr. Laxton, is this your rifle?
Yes, it looked like it.
Is that
It's been
the...
taken very good care of.
It has?
It hasn't.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that. I have no control over the Sheriff's Department's property room. Is that the magazine that came with the rifle, sir?
That's what I had in it.
Okay, and you had it full at the beginning of this episode where you began shooting. It was full, correct?
Do what?
The magazine was full. You had it full when you started shooting at the dogs, correct?
I always keep it full.
Okay. What type of ammunition does that gun shoot?
Long rifle,
What caliber?
22.
And you've loaded that rifle yourself?
Unloaded myself?
You load the rifle yourself when you shoot it, is that correct?
Yes,
And you buy the ammunition?
yes.
What brand do you shoot? What brand of ammunition do you shoot?
Anything I can get is cheap.
Do you recall what you had in there that day? Was it hollow points or was it full metal jacket?
I only shoot hollow points.
Always shoot hollow points, okay, because they're more deadly, correct? Correct?
You what?
They're more deadly, correct? Hollow points are more deadly.
I don't know.
Then why do you shoot hollow points if you don't know?
Because I don't like them.
Why do you like them? Because they're more deadly, correct?
No,
That's the purpose of a hollow point, is it not?
I'm not just aware of what you're talking about.
Isn't a hollow point designed to be more damaging and inflict more damage?
Possibly.
Because it shatters, doesn't it in fact shatter when it goes in and creates massive damage inside of an animal?
Possibly.
Isn't that the fact? How long have you been a hunter?
All my life.
How long have you been shooting 22s?
Several years.
You read magazines about hunting and talks about the ammo. Do you read hunting magazines?
Not a lot.
But some? Did you ever read the box of ammunition? You ever read the
I
side?
don't pay much attention to it.
No? Have you ever read the warning label that tells how far the bullets will travel?
I've been reading that since I was a kid.
How far will those bullets travel?
And it ranges 1 mile. That doesn't mean anything.
They're deadly to 1 mile, is that correct?
No, it's not deadly at 1 mile.
No?
I'm not a gun expert.
You've been hunting all your life. I would say someone that's been hunting all his life is advanced in skill level beyond that of the average person that target practices maybe once a year.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, statements by the defendant as well as any statement such as that by the attorney, any attorneys asking questions is not evidence.
Man.
So you testified that you shoot hollow points, but you testified you didn't read the label, but you do understand that it will go more than a mile. That's correct?
That's what it says on the box. I don't know that it would do that.
You testified that when I walked down the hill that I had my gun hanging to my side. Is that correct?
You had it in your hand, hanging down by your side.
Was it in my
You
hand?
came out across the driveway.
Was it in my... So the first time you saw me, I was across the driveway?
No, I said you had your gun hanging down by your side when you came up across the driveway.
When you first saw me, I was on the other side of the driveway. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Where Brandy fell dead?
Yes, I guess so.
So, did you see this black holster over here on the table on my side, in my belt? Big black holster here on the table?
I don't know what I did or not.
Please display the holster for the witness so he can examine it, please, sir.
Did I see that?
Yes, sir. Did you see that on my side?
I didn't pay attention to it. If I did,
Okay. Is it possible that what you saw was the gun in the holster and my hand
no,
on the gun?
No, sir.
You saw my hand on the gun, correct?
Yes, sir, did.
But you didn't see it in the holster.
No, sir.
You saw me walking down the hill.
Yes, sir.
Did you see
Walking up to the landing ramp, you had the gun in your hand, hanging down by your side.
Did you see a lanyard hanging around my neck?
I didn't pay attention to it.
Okay, but you saw it though, correct? You didn't know what it was, but you saw it? You remember seeing it? I actually was holding it in my hand. It kind of looked like this, but it had a strap around it. It was hanging. I was wearing a white shirt. Do you remember?
I was looking down the barrel of your gun. I didn't have time to look at stuff like that.
If I'm out there 150 feet away where Brandy is, you're not looking down the barrel of a gun, are you? If a gun's pointed down at the ground, you're not looking at the barrel of a gun, are you? And you're shaking your head, no. But you saw this hanging around my neck. You saw this hanging around my neck.
I didn't pay any attention to it.
But you saw it.
I can't say that I did.
Okay.
I could have.
You testified that you've heard an audio recording today. Where did you get that audio recording?
Presumably came from you.
Who gave it to you? I certainly didn't. Who gave it to you, sir?
You didn't give it to me, they played it for me.
Who played it for you, sir?
Law officers.
Who?
The investigators.
Do you know their name?
I don't remember their names. I mean,
So the state allowed you to hear the evidence that provided by me. How long ago has that been? How long ago was that you heard the tape?
this morning.
This morning? That's the first time you heard it was this morning?
Yep.
Okay. And sir, throughout your entire testimony today, which we have recorded in multiple places throughout the building, you never once said, Parsons said, get on your knees. You never said that today. Is that correct?
You said get on the ground.
But you never testified that I said, get on your knees. Is that correct?
I can't remember what I did or not.
Do you remember your testimony at the probable cause hearing? Do you remember taking the stand and taking an oath, swearing to tell the truth?
Yes.
And at that time, isn't it a fact that you said repeatedly that I said, get on your knees? Didn't you say that at that time? Didn't you testify that?
I'm testifying to it today, I think.
No, sir, you didn't. So if you didn't say it today, but you said it a year ago, but now you've had the benefit of hearing the audio tape, which captures every word that you say, I have to ask the question, were you lying then or are you lying now? Withdrawn.
No, not at all.
You testified after you unloaded the gun, shooting at the dog, you thought you were out of ammunition. You saw me walking down. Actually, did you put the gun in the back of the truck before you saw me walking down or after you saw me walking down?
When I first saw you, I put it over. I thought it was over. It was empty. I mean, you know, I'm not fooling us to didn't have an empty gun.
But did you put it in the back of the truck before or after you saw me?
After.
So you saw me walking and then you put it in the back of the truck. Who told you to put it in the back of the truck?
I put it over. Nick said so. I just stick it in the back of the truck.
So Nick said put it in the back of the
I
truck.
think so.
Okay. Isn't it true that when I approached you, well, let me back up. Isn't it true when you were shooting at Brandy and she's running away from you, isn't it true that you shot her in the back?
No, I couldn't tell you where I shot.
Was she running towards you at the time you were shooting at her, or was she running away? Did you shoot her in the face? Did you shoot her in the face?
No.
Sir?
I hit her.
Where did you hit her?
I said I did not know.
You're shooting at an animal and you don't know where you hit it.
I was shooting to protect myself.
Protect yourself. You don't know where the dog was hit.
I've never seen the dog after that.
You didn't see the dog after that, so you didn't see where it fell dead.
I see where it fell dead, but I didn't see it after that.
Well, it's still laying there on the ground, isn't it?
Yeah, until you drove her off, I didn't see her.
Until I picked her up and carried her away. Isn't the fact that I picked her up and carried her away? Is that right? Is that more accurate that I carried her away? Is that not the facts?
I don't know. Whether you carried her and drug her or whatever.
You weren't paying attention? Isn't it a fact that you shot in my direction?
No.
Isn't it a fact that you heard me yell, "Stop shooting" at my dog? Stop shooting, stop shooting. Repeatedly I yelled. Isn't that a fact that you heard me? Isn't it a fact that you were shooting at the dogs towards the pond, and when I'm yelling, you're pointing at the pond, and you heard me yell, and you looked up, and then you went back to shooting? Isn't that a fact?
No, sir.
Isn't it a fact that Brandy ran towards me, and you continued to shoot her?
No, that I know of, she didn't.
Isn't it a fact that she ran to me?
I don't know whether she ran to, but she ran straight away from me.
Thank you.
Dark home. Thank you.
So the fact is, I never said get on your knees, correct? You've heard the audio tape. You know what was said. You heard it this morning. You know for a fact I never said get on your knees. Is that not correct?
As far as I can tell.
Give me what you say. Could you please identify the form just handed to you, sir? Is that your handwriting?
It looked like it.
Is that your signature at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
Is that your statement given to the police the night of the event?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Anywhere on that statement does it say Parsons said get on your knees?
If I read it, I believe you said it. I mean,
Anywhere on that statement does it say Parsons said get on your knees? Do you see the words get on your knees or anything having to do with a knee anywhere on that page?
now that I consider that reading it very close.
Have you found it anywhere on there where it says get on your knees? Mr. Laxton, can you hear me? Does it say get on your knees anywhere on the document?
I didn't read the whole thing.
I'll wait. This is very important. 25 years imprisonment is a very serious charge.
Objection as to that comment, true or not. And there may be some clarification. Is this his handwriting? Is this your handwriting?
He testified it was.
Okay. Why don't you read the whole thing?
And again, statements by attorneys or the defendant are not evidence and not to be considered. You're to disregard the last remark. I think he's asked that you read it, but I don't know.
All I'm asking is that, I'm the one crossing now. If you want to read it, that's fine, but all I'm asking is if you can find the words get on your knees or anything to do with knees at all on the document, or getting down, anything. Anything at all about getting or down or knees. Anything to that effect. Did you find it, sir?
No, sir,
So it's not on there?
I can't find it.
So would your testimony be it's not on there?
I said it's not on there.
I'd like to enter this as an exhibit for the defense, identified by the witness as his writing, his statement, and note that he's testified it does not have anything to do with getting down on your knees, anything to that effect. In fact, this was your first report. This was the first report to the police that you documented what happened that night, correct?
Mr. Parsons, excuse me, give her a second, please, Department.
I'm sorry.
State have any objection?
I have no objection as long as he's able to read it out loud. At some point. 'Cause I'm having difficulty reading myself.
Did I get him to acknowledge this?
Any other questions of this witness?
Is he still reviewing the document? Okay. I think we've established there's nothing on there having to do with get on your knees. Mr. Laxton, at the
These
problem...
statements by the defendant are not evidence. Ask a question, please.
We've got it on the record, the document.
There is an exhibit, Your Honor.
Mr. Laxton, isn't it a fact that you testified in the probable cause hearing in General Sessions Court regarding this matter?
I think I did.
Did you testify in front of Judge Peeler in
Yes.
April of 2008? Okay. And if I show you a copy of this transcript, would you be able to read it? It's typed out. It's not handwritten. It's typed. Would you be able to identify if this appears to be your statement?
I have no idea.
Well, let's try it. I'd like to hand it to you.
Your Honor, I object to the form of the question. He can be asked a question, and then he can be asked, do you recall saying something if it's inconsistent? Rather than try to make an exhibit of a transcript of a preliminary hearing, which has been followed by an indictment and is now on trial.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, evidence is the testimony of the witness here in this courtroom. A prior sworn statement or a prior testimony can only be used for impeachment. The substance of the prior testimony is not evidence here. That is, you have to determine the accuracy of each witness's testimony. If a witness has testified to something different at another time, you can use that to consider the accuracy of the statements today, but the testimony, the evidence is the testimony heard in this court.
I'd like to present this to the witness, please.
Same objection, Your Honor. He can be asked a question.
Objection will be sustained. The proper way of doing it is ask a question. If you get a response that's inconsistent with the prior testimony, then ask if the prior testimony response was such and such.
In the probable cause hearing, was it a fact that you testified he pointed it at us, told us he was making a citizen's arrest, told us to get down on our knees? Was that your statement, April 2008, of the probable cause hearing in this matter?
That's what's in there, it is.
Thank you. I'd like to establish this as an exhibit for the file, for the record.
I object unless it's right.
It's a foundation, Your Honor.
The prior testimony marked for identification only.
Isn't it also a fact, and we'll try to move along quickly, that you testified in April of 2008 that you could see the spirals of the barrel of the gun?
That I could do what?
Is it a fact that you testified at that time in April of 2008 that you could see the spirals of the barrel of the gun, indicating that a gun was directly in front of your eyes? Did you testify that you could see the spirals of the barrel of the gun? Today you never testified to anything to that degree. Would you please take a look at your original statement and see if anything on there says you could see the spirals of the barrel of the gun?
I don't remember that.
Can we please provide the document he had a moment ago that's his original write-up as to the
They
event?
testified to that today?
Yes, sir. Mr. Laxton, could we just have you read that document to the court?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Just read it, and that'll answer all the questions. I won't go belabor it anymore. If you just read it, it's one page.
I can read it online. Mary Laxton was cutting grass on his own property. Mary noticed 4 wolves across while cutting grass. He went to his house where I got his .22 rifle, and the dogs were found several warning shots, and all dogs ran. Barry and Lincoln one to talk to Nick. While on their way, another dog that Barry did not see came towards Barry. Barry fired several warning shots, and the dog kept coming. Barry fired more warning shots, and the dog kept coming. Barry was in fear for his safety, so Barry started shooting at him. And on the last shot hit said dog that it was Nick stated that Mike was across the field with his gun drawn. Mike came up to Barry and Nick and pointing his gun After a while, Mike left and took Barry's rifle with him. The sheriff's office was called.
Is that it?
Saying Barry Laxton.
Thank you very much. Please identify this next document, sir.
This witness can't identify the warrant. I object that he's being asked to identify the warrant.
I'm asking him to verify the statement contained in the warrant that is his statement in the report that these charges stem from. This getting at the foundation of the charges you have to have factual evidence and statements that support the charge. And when you have no statements supporting the charge, I move to dismiss these charges.
I think we've gotten past the probable cause stage. I object to this witness being called upon to answer questions about what somebody else has said. He said in a warrant. He's here to question. And I object to his being asked to look at another document.
I'm trying to verify if his statements alleged by the police are accurate or if they're fabricated by someone other than him. If the man has been misquoted, I'd like it to be on the record that he's been misquoted, or if in fact he's changed his story.
The objection to be sustained for the benefit of the record. The witness presented the affidavit of complaint signed by Sean Cullen. You can mark that for identification if you want to.
Please, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Mark for identification.
Mr. Laxton, when I came down, was it not a fact that the first thing I told you was to put your gun down? Was the very first thing that I said when I approached you to put your gun down?
I didn't have a gun.
But was my statement, my first statement, not what you did, not what you claimed, was my statement first to put your gun down? You heard the audio tape today.
I didn't have a gun at that time.
Did I say, I'm not asking did you have a gun, did I say put your gun down?
I think so.
Okay.
Did
I next say, you're under arrest, citizen's arrest?
You haven't proven to me who's got a gun.
I'm not trying to.
Okay.
I'm not trying to prove you had a gun. All I'm asking is, what did I say at that time? The first thing was, in fact, is it not true? I said, put your gun down. And you testified yes. The next question is, did I not say, you're under arrest, citizen's arrest?
And yes.
Thank you. The next thing I said, in fact, was it not, where is your gun? I'm not reading notes, I'm going by memory.
Well, you remember it better than mine. I might have heard it, but you still haven't.
Did I repeatedly ask, where is your gun? At that point, repeatedly, over and over, did I ask, where's your gun? Where's your gun?
I guess you did.
Did it seem apparent that at that point I didn't know where your gun was? I had no idea you had put it in the back of the truck. I'm trying to identify where your gun was. Was that apparent to you at that time? I'm trying to determine if you got a gun and where it is. Was it obvious to you that I was trying to determine if you had a gun and where it was at that time with all the repeated questions, where is your gun? Where's your gun?
Whatever you say.
No, sir, I want to know what your recollection was, what your statements are here today. It's very important that we know what you recall. Okay, thank you. Did I also not ask, where's my other dog?
Yes, you asked where your other dog was.
And at that time, you're walking around, if I'm facing you like this, Nick King would have been to your left, I'm sorry, Nick King would have been to your right, and then the hanger would have been further to the right, correct? As we're facing each other.
Well, the hanger was behind me.
The hanger was off to your right, correct?
Straight behind me. Not pointing to the north.
Where were you in relation to the pickup truck? Were you not closer to the street, away from the pickup truck?
Are you talking about when you asked about your dog? I don't know. You're running stuff together. I can't understand it.
I'm trying to determine your location when I'm asking the questions. Where are you at that point? If you'd like to put another pin in the drawing, we can certainly arrange that. It's very important that we know exactly where you were standing. You were moving around. Actually, you weren't standing in one spot. You were walking around, and Nick King was actually making a phone call at that time. Is that not correct? He was calling 911. Is that correct? While I'm asking him where the dog is, and I'm asking him where his gun is, and did I not ask you to turn around? Did I ask you to turn around?
No, I don't remember that. I turned around
You turned around.
and showed you I didn't have a gun.
That's right, you did. You did. And then Mr. King, who had a gun, who went to his car and got it, put it in his pocket, he had his hand on his cell phone in one hand, making a phone call to 911. He had the other hand in his pocket. Is that correct?
I was watching you.
Okay, but you were walking around though, right?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't. What were you doing?
I was standing in front of you.
Really? What, about 25, 30 feet away, correct?
No,
No?
no. Within 3 or 4 feet of me.
Mr. Laxton. Now, you've done a good job up until now, but isn't it not a fact? Isn't it the truth? Isn't it the truth, sir, that you were never any closer than 25 feet? The only time, in fact, isn't it the truth, the only time you got any closer than 30 feet was when I'm looking in the back of the truck and you walked up and said, "Don't get in there." Didn't you walk up behind me and say, "Don't get in there," when I'm looking for the rifle in the truck? When you're over there wandering around and I'm over here looking in the truck. You remember when I'm looking at the truck and I'm turned away from you? Do you remember when I was looking in the truck?
Remember when you walked over to the truck?
Right, I walked over to the truck. I'm facing the truck. I'm looking for the rifle. Is that correct?
I guess that's what you're looking for.
Well, was that your testimony earlier that I went to the truck and picked up your rifle?
Yeah, after you seen it over in the bed.
That's right. But just before that, Nick King said that he actually had his pistol in his pocket, did he not? Did Nick King not acknowledge that he had his pistol in his pocket, in his hand?
He told you you had a gun and that's where it was staying.
In his pocket.
In his pocket.
And he had his hand in his pocket, correct?
I don't know. I was watching you.
You weren't walking around?
No.
You sure you weren't walking around? Because on the audio recording, you can hear you talking and you can hear the volume coming higher and lower and higher
I
and
may have
lower.
followed you a little bit over towards the truck, and then you told us to stop.
But you were constantly moving around. Did I tell you to stop or did I tell you to stay back? Didn't I tell you to stay back? It's on the recording. You heard it earlier today. It's going to be played again, so it doesn't benefit you to say anything other than the truth, sir. Isn't it true that I said stay back? Isn't it true that I said stay back when I was looking in the
I guess
truck?
so.
Well, it is or it isn't.
Well, it is or it isn't. I mean, you know, I guess so. I don't know. I can't remember that.
But you heard the audio recording this morning, did you not?
I heard it.
In fact, didn't you hear me tell Mr. King to get rid of his gun, to disarm himself? Did you not hear me repeatedly say, "Get rid of your gun, you're threatening me"? Did you not hear me say, "Get rid of your gun"? And then at that moment, I pick up the rifle. I see the rifle, I pick it up. You remember me picking up your rifle out of the back of the truck?
Yeah.
I confiscated that rifle because it was used to shoot at me and my family. Do you understand that, Mr. Laxton? Do you understand why I picked up your rifle?
Your Honor, at some point, and it's getting late, but Mr. Parsons certainly has an opportunity to testify, but he shouldn't do it through questions. And I
Again,
object.
ladies and gentlemen, the statements by the defendant are not evidence. And if the jury will judge the nature of the questions, and they can only be used to supply meaning to the answer given by the witness, that's the evidence.
Mr. Laxton, well, just a few more questions. You recall me picking the rifle up and confiscating it out of the back of your truck, correct? You recall me confiscating your rifle out of the back of the truck?
And I had my truck.
I don't know whose truck it was.
Next.
Okay. I believe you. I didn't know whose truck it was. But you remember me confiscating the
Well,
rifle.
I object to the form of the question is calling for a legal conclusion. If he's talking about confiscating, and the state alleges it's theft, confiscation is a legal term. It's calling this man to make a legal conclusion.
Theft is a legal term too.
All right, restate your question, please. Try to ask one that hadn't already been asked and answered.
Isn't it true that when I picked the rifle up out of the back of the truck, that you and Mr. King proceeded to run to the back behind the hangar?
No, sir.
You didn't run to the back of the hangar.
No, sir.
You didn't run to the back of the hangar and say, "Don't come back here."
No, sir.
You didn't hear your audio recording this morning that you listened to.
We did not run to the back of the hangar.
Okay, how did you get to the back of the hangar? Did you walk?
Later on, we walked over there to, I was about to get a coat, but we never ran to the back of the hangar.
When I picked up the rifle, before I turned and went the other way, what were you doing?
Standing up there at the end of the hangar.
Sir, could you repeat that, please?
Standing at the end of the hangar.
At the back side of the hangar.
No, at the front side. Depends on what you call the front and the back.
Where the doorway is, where the helicopters come in and out, do you call that the front or the back?
That's the back.
Okay, my mistake. I apologize.
Thank you.
I'm confused. So I'm standing at the back of the hangar, and you were at the other end at the front of the hangar.
No, sir. We was at the bifold door open. That's the back.
Okay, but just a moment ago, can we go back? Did he testify that he was at the front of the hangar?
Ask another question. Don't ask the court reporter question. Direct your questions to the witness, please.
Were you at the bifold doors, or were you at the other side of the hangar?
We had the bifold doors.
But I was at the bifold doors next to the truck. How close was I to you at this time? 25, 30 feet?
When you were standing there,
When I picked up the rifle, how close was I to you?
maybe 15 feet.
15 feet. Now my pistol, that's in the holster at this point, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, you were watching, you were focused on me.
I think you still have it in your hand.
Well, yeah, in the holster, with my hand on it.
Whatever.
One eye on the rifle and one eye on you. You had your hand in your pocket too, didn't you? Didn't you have your hand in your pocket? When you were standing there, you had your hand in your pocket, right?
Why?
Thank you. Mr. King had his hand in his pocket because he wasn't getting rid of his gun. He kept his hand on his gun. That means you had your hand in your pocket, and you're right-handed, correct? You write with your right hand, correct?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm right-handed.
Yes, sir. And so Nick King had his hand in his pocket on his gun. You had your hand in your pocket on a gun, keys, a cell phone. What did you have in your pocket?
All I have is a cell phone.
Okay, and that bulge was pointing at me, correct?
No.
You had your hand on your cell phone.
I took it out and tried to dial 911. You grabbed at it.
That's not true. That's not true, is it?
All
It's not true.
Excuse me a second. Ladies and gentlemen, the comments by the defendant are to be ignored. It's up to the jury to determine what the truth is. He's to ask the question and the witnesses to respond to the question. And it's not permissible under our rules of evidence for an attorney or the defendant or whoever's doing the questioning to comment as to their opinion as to whether or not the statement is accurate or not accurate.
Mr. Laxton, isn't it true that you never did submit to a citizen's arrest, did you? You never did submit to a citizen's arrest, did you?
I don't remember whether I did or not.
Did you get on your knees? Did you get on your knees, sir?
I don't remember. I guess I did.
Sir, you testified just a moment ago that you did not get on your knees. You testified that
I told you I could not remember.
you never submitted to the citizen's arrest that I was trying to effect, did you, sir? Isn't that
I
true?
didn't have any intention of doing it.
That's true, you didn't.
That's
You
right.
made that clear. Isn't it true that you said you should have kept those SOBs up, talking about my dogs?
I guess so.
Nothing further at this time. Thank you.
Anything else? That's it. Thanks, sir, for going back to it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break in the evening. During this break, it's very important to remember the things we've done over there. Please don't discuss the case among yourselves. Allow anyone to discuss it with you. In the morning. We'll be back in the jury room about 9:15 in the morning. Hope you have a good evening.
Doesn't that open it up for me?
There he is. He's been here the whole time. I didn't know this.
Make a move to dismiss.
We stand recessed till this morning,
What time would that be, Your Honor?
about 9:15.
You could dismiss the Monday, right?
Oh, what's that?
But tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow.
Do we need to sequester the pill or take it with us?
We can take that.
Where do we put it to secure it?
Actually,
Just leave it there?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
is it safe in this
Well,
building to leave
he's
it?
he's gonna put it in the clerk's office. He's taking all the stuff and putting it.
And because that's yours, if you want, you could even put little red dots where the push pins are.
I'm gonna leave the push pins in there.
Okay, okay.
You think I should make dots around the push pins or something, or just leave them?
I think you just look at it and take a picture of it. Take a picture of it. And then that way we just check it, gets a picture tomorrow.
Your Honor, if it pleases the court, would I be allowed to take a photograph of the poster board? We're going to leave it here, but I'd like to take a photograph just to make certain that the push pins don't get moved. Thank you very much. I'm just going to turn around and take a picture of the corner right there.
I need to take a picture of him taking that picture.
Yeah,
Take
that's
a
what I'm
picture of
doing.
you taking
Take a picture of
him taking a picture.
Because I don't know. I don't know. With those digital cameras, you can do all sorts of stuff.
That's cool.
Now,
Too cool for me.
Now, I don't know if that pink push-in pin is Nick King or the dog or the bullet. I know that they're all the same color, and I'm confused, but maybe that'll all be hashed out.
Are those scales the same on those two pictures?
This is, Same
Which
width.
one is-
Yeah, just different.
That says 300 feet for that. That's 200 feet. So they are slightly.
They are different scales, yeah.
That's,
This is a bigger,
that's a bigger one.
bigger rendition.
That's a more blown up shot.
That's a better one than what I got 2 years ago.
You're gonna have some more.
Actually, what I've got an identical one right there. It's gonna How do I get the judge to allow me to?
Pat, you want to heck and carry on top of it?
Well, I'm trying to figure out, we've got to have something to carry all this stuff in.
Some of them want to heck and carry your stuff.
All right, I've just got to carefully collect things so that they go.
If you get stuff organized, we'll pick it up and carry it for you, okay? We won't touch it, we just organize it when you want to carry it.
I've got 1 through 5, 11, and 14.
Dr. Labasa calling my arm needs to be here.
I had no idea it was going to take this long. They told me. Said they need to put these up. It was 13.
Oh, I know.